Hello, my Astro family. This is Lada from astrolada.com, and we continue with the 2021 astrology marathon. And today we're doing the sign of Pisces. Hello, Victor.
Hi everyone, how are you doing?
Great. You're a Pisces rising, and you chose your sign to do, and everyone can see your smooth, gentle aura, like very calming Pisces aura. I'm very
Of course
excited.
I chose Pisces, it's going to be happening in our 12th house, so there's definitely something we need to talk about.
Awesome. Carry on. And if you want, first maybe say a couple of words about what you think of the whole 2021 as energy, because people would love to hear your perspective as our best astrologer.
Well, obviously we're going to have this Saturn-Jupiter conjunction, which is going to be happening on 0 degree of Aquarius. And some people describe it as a new age. Some people describe it, as something, a huge change in our mankind and in the humanity. And I kind of agree with it. I think it's going to be marking a period of time for us where many of the things we've done in the past, maybe focusing way too much on lands and properties and the tangible, something to do with the something which I can grab and can hold on to. Now, I think something to do with the human mind, something to do with the intellect is going to be a lot more important. If we go back in history a little bit and we start looking at what happened when this conjunction in Aquarius happened last, well, it was a good 800 years ago. That's when really the schools started to open up for public, such as universities and so forth. That was the time when paper actually was available for people to write. And so Aquarius is something which is very ideas based, very original, very innovative, very independent perspective it has. So what I'm expecting in the next 20 years is that there are going to be new ideologies for society. Probably, I'm expecting changes happening in the travel industry. So how you can go to other countries, and maybe many people will believe. Many people will say I'm stupid, but I also believe the EU is going to be kind of breaking apart as well.
Oh, I
I
totally
think
agree.
more and more countries will leave EU, and everyone is going to strive for independence.
Absolutely, I believe the same. They will be connected. Countries will collaborate, but they would want independence. I totally agree with you. Yeah.
Exactly, and interestingly enough, the EU was kind of formed as well when we had Saturn last in Aquarius.
Oh,
So I'm expecting something to be happening in the next 2-3 years when few countries are going to be leaving. But also Aquarius is very much about like a catalyst. So
sorry.
it is all about the catalyst.
Totally.
So it is all about breaking down some rigid hierarchies, some type of stereotypes and traditions. Basically, Aquarius is all about tearing up the rule book and defining your own book. So I'm pretty much expecting some of the governmental structure to change as well, how we are voting, how we are um, um, ruled by the government. Aquarius tends to be at the beginning of their life extremely people pleasers until they manage to kind of work towards self-acceptance. So I believe the first 10 years might be more about um, growing up a little bit. And then once we've done that shift in the humanity, I think people are going to start standing up for their own rights a lot more. So I'm even expecting some type of demonstrations coming up. And people just want to know basically the truth. Because this conjunction is going to be happening on 0 degrees. 0 degrees is very innocent. it's a very enthusiastic type of approach because that's the beginning of the sign. So it tends to act like a starting point. So in 2021, especially the beginning of the year, it's like a new movement is starting. Apart from the fact that I believe that the education system will completely change, as well as the travel industry, I do believe this is going to be the rise of astrology as well.
Yay!
Because, yes, because I think it's going to become more and more important for people to kind of find their inner truth. And Aquarius is all about community. It's all about pioneering, somehow leading together as a group. So, but what usually happens is that Aquarius tends to be kind of wallowing in their opposite sign, which is the shadow side of Aquarius. And the opposite sign from Aquarius is Leo, which can be very egocentric, very much of feeling that they are superior, somehow intolerance as well. So I'm expecting the first 10 years to be more about fighting for the right things and something to do with I'm more equal than others type of energy.
More equal than others.
Yes, because that's typically an Aquarius. I'm equal with everyone, but I'm a little bit better than others. So I'm expecting a little bit of demonstration happening in the world. And obviously, when we talk about Jupiter and Saturn, they are all about social responsibility. So the only way how it's going to move forward is if people get together and they take responsibility together. And obviously, Jupiter and Saturn conjunction is going to be happening, well, almost the entire year. So it's going to be a good 8 months while they are dancing around each other. On a personal level, I think it is going to be a new chapter in our professional life. I think we might start working from home a lot more. I can imagine that offices are not going to be necessary anymore because we want to save a little bit of an electricity, utilities, and so forth, which is again very much Aquarian because, as I said, it's all about community, getting together, and kind of trying to save the world as well, in a sense.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. It's some cause. Aquarius energy loves causes, and
exactly. Jupiter loves to spend money, and Saturn says, "Hold on a minute, let's do that with moderation." So. And at the end of the day, Saturn is going to be in Aquarius. Saturn associates himself with Aquarius a lot more than Capricorn because Capricorn is a female sign, Aquarius is a masculine sign. And now Saturn is a masculine planet.
Yes. Wow.
So Saturn is going to be a lot stronger. So some type of how I imagine these this planetary alignment together is that the two planets kind of need to bring together the principles. So one wants to grow within the structure, the other one wants to kind of create a framework. Jupiter wants to see the bigger picture, and Saturn says, let's see the long-term goals, let's see the long-term picture. So once these two planets kind of collaborate, then the expanding the existing structures, making some type of plan which is going to last. I think this is going to be very typical in the next couple of years. And especially something to do with birth control, I believe is going to be a huge topic, something to do with saving the world. And that's very much, again, Aquarius energy, something to do with Aquarius, like the world. Aquarius in many cases is also called like the fool because they don't always think, they just go and, you know, follow their own truth. But that's okay because that's Aquarius karma as well anyway, to follow their own truth, not necessarily believing what other people are saying to them. So I think it's going to be a huge change for us.
You're Aquarius sun, aren't you?
Yes, I am. So all these planetary alignments are going to be happening around my sun, yes, in the 12th house. You
Wow.
know, and this Jupiter and Saturn energy, which tends to happen every 20 years, um, it is all about a new movements in the society. So changing social structures, I think changing the national identities, the belief in society. I think these are going to be huge topics. And as I said at the beginning, the very last conjunction which happened in Aquarius was in 1226. And that's when something to do with the first, for instance, the first striking clock was invented,
Oh.
or the schools opened up to the public, paper, printing, and so forth. So I'm expecting
Now,
a
let
major
me
shift
correct
in
you.
technology.
Let me correct you. That was the first Saturn Jupiter conjunction in Aquarius from that air triad. The last one was in 1405. I was looking at them, I researched it, and that was the last one in Aquarius, and that's when the Enlightenment started as well. That's when the
Oh
Renaissance.
yeah.
Renaissance. But in that period of 200 years, from 200, from the 1220s till the 14th century, or 15th century, basically 250 years, all those things happened all the time. Saturn and Jupiter were meeting in air sign and in Aquarius as well.
Oh yeah, that's right. Because this conjunction happens for a good 200 years. But the last one when it started was
Started
1226.
exactly, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and then yeah, so this is a major cycle, and you know this cycle is gonna last till 220 almost. So it's gonna be again something where I think something to do with the flight, air, space, technology. I think the utilization of the brain, the exchange, advocacy, these are going to be machineries. These are going to be extremely important in the next 20 years.
Thank you. I loved your breakdown.
Thank you.
Masterful, masterful.
Well, and obviously, the Saturn-Jupiter conjunction is going to be extremely important for Pisces rising sign, because Pisces in traditional astrology is ruled by Jupiter. So this transit is going to be happening in their 12th house. And if you've got a Pisces rising sign, it means that Jupiter rules your midheaven and your rising sign itself. So the major changes, what we should be experiencing as Pisces energy, is most probably changes in your personal environment, something to do with your work environment as well. So because Saturn rules your 11th house and the 12th house, these two planets are pretty much going to talk about focusing on your long-term goals, focusing on things which you have wanted to achieve for a long time. And yes, 12th house is always about some type of sacrifices. So we do need to make some we do need to fight through our inner demons. We do need to come out of our comfort zone to make those changes. Or we know that Saturn tends to be, when the energy is not honored, then Saturn tends to be kind of kicking the butt a little bit, especially towards the end of the sign. So I recommend watching out for the signs, because yes, it's sometimes it's a damage, but we do need to look at it as a opening a new channel for us. This is something like I kind of associate 12th house very similarly to the 8th. So it's always about endings and somehow starting something fresh, starting something new. So we don't need to be hiding away what 12th house tends to do anyway when there is a problem, but actually looking for those opportunities. This is what Jupiter says, because new doors are opening up. And that's the major factor what we need to be keeping in our head. Most probably Pisces rising sign, especially the ones who were born somewhere, especially those who have got their rising sign somewhere around between 9 to 15 degree, I think they will feel the most, because the Saturn-Jupiter conjunction is going to be taking place somewhere in December. And then Saturn is going to be going retrograde in the middle of the year. But at the same time, Uranus is also going to be sextiling their rising sign between 9 to 15 degree.
Oh, yeah.
And Uranus is all about changes. It's all about changes how we communicate, changes how we look at the world, changes in our environment. And usually Uranus brings some type of sudden changes. So I feel like for those people who have got their rising sign somewhere between 9 to 15 degree, the next 6 months is more about a preparation for a sudden change, which might occur somewhere around May till August time. The ones who have got their rising sign somewhere between 23 to 27 degree, well, they are going to be affected by Pluto. And because we are going to be having a sextile again from Pluto as well. And Pluto is all about transformation. It's all about a renewal of the self. Pluto is very much about fears, facing your inner demons. And this Pluto Saturn Jupiter energy, which is very much triggering the 12th house, is all about coming out of your shadow and basically look for light. So leaving the past behind, facing your inner demons, gonna be an extremely important topic for Pisces, somewhere between 23 to 27 degree.
So if people are watching this video for their sun sign, they can apply it as well, can't they?
Absolutely, because these energies are going to be happening 12 sign away from their Pisces sun, so they could watch it, yes.
So yeah, find out what the degree of your sun is. We're not giving dates here. You can just check it in any astrology software. If your sun is from 23 to 27 degrees Pisces, big transformation, leaving the past behind. Because it's an easy aspect from Pluto, I believe it will happen in a more smooth and less disruptive way. So.
Exactly. Sextiles, trines are all about opportunities. Of course, if you are not taking the opportunity, then it can be also painful, because it means that you're working against planetary energies. Also, Pluto, as I said, is the planet of transformation, and because it's going to be sextiling your rising sign, it is even, I can even imagine that people are going to lose weight. Those ones who are between 23 to 27 degree, because the rising sign is something to do with your body. It's somehow your personality badge. And because that sextile is going to be happening basically from your, well, it depends what house system you use, but it's going to be happening somewhere in the 11th house. It's all about, again, changing your long-term goals. I very much can imagine that many people will think about how I can become self-employed. Even Pisces, who's sometimes a little bit reluctant to do so. Those ones who were born somewhere between 20 to 23 degree, so having Pisces rising sign between 20 to 23 degree, or the sun sign being there, they are going to be influenced by Neptune. And Neptune, well, you know, if you are single, actually Neptune can bring you some type of love. But we also need to be very careful with it. I remember when Neptune was transiting my rising sign, I fell in love with someone.
You had it earlier? You had it earlier? You early?
Yes, because my rising sign is on 2 degree.
Oh, you had it years ago, a few years ago.
Yeah, so when I had Neptune on my rising sign, I fell in love with a drug addict. I didn't even know the person was a drug addict. And that's Neptune. Neptune is all about mist and fog, not seeing things clearly.
Yes.
And I pretty much felt defeated. I eventually, one of the reasons why I got to know that the person was a drug addict, because I looked at the chart they had, and then I had a straightforward question, but that was very at the end of Neptune transit. And Neptune transit can last up to 1.5, 2 years as well. So one of the higher manifestation of that Neptune transit is maybe doing some type of charity work, or using your creativity, using your intuition. You can even invest time into your spirituality, your spiritual studies. Because don't forget that one of the most important house for you this year is going to be the 12th house. And if we look at what 12th house is all about, well, it is all about revealing some type of secrets, even secret love affairs, something to do with um, giving up on certain things which is not serving your life anymore. It is something to do with fighting your inner demons, leaving the past behind, even working through some of your karmic experiences. When Saturn when Saturn shifted into Aquarius earlier this year, that's when I kind of had an idea. I'm going to give up smoking. I'm going to start losing weight. And this is exactly what the 12th house talks about. Something which is not serving you anymore needs to be left behind, because eventually, somewhere in the middle of the year, in May, Jupiter is going to give you opportunities once it moves into Pisces. It's going to give you opportunities. It's going to give you a little bit of a glimpse of what could come in 2022 if you follow the Saturnian rules. Saturn is all about rule, structure, commitment. So you need to commit to things which you just want to leave behind. Otherwise, it might end up bringing some type of loss in your life, because it's not about holding on to tangible things. It's all about holding on to things which really matter. And Pisces know what matters the most is something which can't be held in our hands. So something to do with generosity, love, and a compassionate heart.
Mm-hmm. I think
So
will flow much easier through this transit of Saturn in the 12th house, because they naturally know how to let go and leave when things get too messy, you know.
yeah, you just had that recently, didn't you?
Yeah, but I had a struggle over and over and over with the cigarettes, with the drinking, over and over and over. It's like 3 years of that and picking it up and stopping. I'm not flowing with that. At the end, it started to stick, but it was like a nightmare for me.
Exactly. As I said, I think for Pisces rising sign, the next 6 months is a preparation phase. And then after, maybe we can start seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. Because if you have been feeling in the dark, or being in the dark, or you might feel a little bit of an energy loss, or you might feel that you want to be sleeping more, or you want to relax or hide away, you need to kind of subconsciously fight about it, because there is also Jupiter there who wants to give you some type of opportunities. And if you hide away, then by the end of the 2.5 year period, you might be suffering from some type of depression and melancholic behaviors and so forth. So 12th house is very much about leaving behind a self-destructive behavior, knowing that you are your own worst enemy. And this is one of the reasons why 12th house is called as secret enemies, because enemies are not, it shouldn't be a secret who your enemies are. You should kind of know that. But because Pisces is very trusty, we're all about saving others. With this 12th house energy, we might also need to leave that behind as well, knowing that you can't save everyone. So Jupiter and Saturn is all about growing up, really. So for many Piscean people, it's going to be a time to kind of dig into some spiritual matters, what counts the most for them, even doing some type of researches. Jupiter really wants to tap into the subconscious here and kind of clear in a way your karma. On a positive note, I think if you have been putting energy into your spiritual understanding, then I think Pisces rising sign will see quite loads of benefits as well, especially the ones who have got a day chart. The reason being is because in a day chart, Jupiter is the most benefic planet and Saturn is only a constructive planet. So Saturn only tends to do constructive criticism. The night chart might feel a little bit more challenging because Saturn is the most malefic planet in a night chart, but the most benefic is Venus. So it doesn't mean that Jupiter would.
It makes sense why when Saturn entered your 12th house for a little bit, you did all the right things. Well, I'm on your day chart and I'm a night chart. When it entered my 12th house, I started all the bad things. Started fighting with them and having difficulty.
Exactly. For a night chart person, Saturn is a little bit more trouble because Saturn is a cold and dry energy. At night, obviously, it's a lot colder than daytime. So Saturn even cools down more and becomes more emotionally detached and tends to kind of shift away from that conscious behavior because obviously at night you tend to be sleeping. So they don't use their logic as much.
Yeah, they're not as conscious in their approach, I can say. So
exactly.
I struggled a lot with that. Everything is okay. I had just one big loss, but it was, I don't want to scare people, but I think for Aquarius rising people especially was harder because they're more stubborn. They don't shift, and we just have that as Aquarius risings. It's a fixed sign, and but for Pisces, I think they'll flow. It will be much easier.
Exactly, it's a mutable energy, so it goes with the flow. Therefore, yes, making changes for a mutable energy is always a lot easier. This is one of my favorite examples. If you tell a Gemini to pack the bag and move tomorrow, they do that. It's not a problem for them. So Pisces also have got that type of energy. They can be very easily manipulated by others. And that's why some of those secrets can reveal as well for Gemini, especially in their relationship. Sorry, not Gemini, Pisces, especially in their relationship. If they have felt some type of uncertainty in the relationship, then it is actually time to put the cards on the table and having a deeper understanding of your partner's behavior as well. Because as I said, this energy for Pisces in the next 2 years, especially, it's about a spiritual growth. It's about being able to deal with the fact that even though you are not alone, you need alone time. You need to recharge your batteries. So therefore, you need to be taking part in activities where you can actually charge up the body. Jupiter rules your body. So such as retreats, yoga, meditation. You might even need to leave some of your friendship behind because Saturn rules your 11th house. Those friendships might not be serving you anymore. But the most important one, in my opinion, is to work with your own fears. I would also like to mention that because 12th house talks about bigger expenditures and Jupiter likes spending money, Pisces rising sign likes spending money. The good news is that Saturn is going to kind of put a break to it, a stop to it. But Pisces rising sign this year needs to pay attention to paying their bills on time, paying the mortgage, the debts on time, and watching out generally for bigger expenditures. I don't necessarily recommend for Pisces to go for loans this year because it could really mark the next 20 years of their life, which they might regret later on.
I can tell you when Saturn and Jupiter entered my 12th house the last couple of years, I told to my husband, you deal with the money because I can do something stupid. So I just have not touched it.
On a little negative note, However, with 5 planets in Sagittarius, I don't like being negative, but 12th house is so much to do with your health as well. It rules hospitals. So if you have been neglecting your health, 12th house is really much talking about a necessary change which you need to do in your daily habit as well. It's not just your 12th house which gets activated, but the opposite one as well, which is the 6th. So something to do with not working 24/7. Because Pisces has got this tendency of not watching the clock, and all of a sudden they just feel tired and, you know, drained. So regular exercise or walks, or Pisces, you are good at swimming, so you can go for some type of you know, water activities, which could be very good for you. But generally speaking, your lifestyle needs to kind of change for the better. You need to be looking at what you have done so far, what was not working, and now fixing it and make it work with some new habits. Yes, pretty much. I think very shortly, Pisces is more about an internal work for them this year. Yes, some of you most probably gonna experience some type of loss as well. As I said, loss of a friendship, or even watch out for your vocal cords, because this year your vocal cords are a lot more sensitive. And the Saturn Jupiter conjunction is going to kind of ask you to be a little bit quieter, because it's all about turning inside rather than sharing your energies with others. It's a self-focused time for us, Pisces.
Yeah, learn to take it easy, relax, ask for even for help, I would say, when you can't do everything. And what I learned with the transit of Saturn and Jupiter through my 12th house was not to push myself too hard, because my health started suffering, exactly like Victor says. And I did not have as much energy. I still don't. And it's just take it a bit easier, learn to delegate a bit more, and just do the bare minimum, you know, kind of go into a hibernation if you can, because I was pushing myself at the start a lot, and again I just crashed, and I was just like just wanted to sleep and sleep. So just learn
I
to.
think Pisces really need to focus on not kind of getting lost in groups' energies,
Mhm.
not losing themselves in the process of being of service to others. So therefore, as I said, it's very much about a little bit of a self-focus. Yes, a little bit of an introverted energy. Some of you might feel that you are going to be misunderstood this upcoming year. But I think by turning inside, you're going to be able to see more aspects of the society as well. And I think you're going to be able to keep your unique individual expression pure and more true to yourself. So the key for Pisces this year is to stay true who they are, but just minimizing that a little bit, not wearing those rose-colored glasses, not because it's gonna be more like a universal trust, knowing that the universe is kind of guiding us to the right cosmic consciousness.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah, going with the flow
yes,
for sure. That was the hardest thing for me, to let go and know that there's maybe a better thing for me than what I've planned, and to kind of relax into that. I think Pisces again will do this naturally. Many Pisces will do that naturally, so they'll have an easier time. And overall, it was a good time actually. It was enjoyable, even for me, kind of learning to go with the flow and to see the surprises that the universe brings me, and to trust in that flow. What about relocations to foreign countries, 12th house?
oh yeah, absolutely, which I am going to do anyway, so I don't even know why I'm not mentioning that. Yes, for Pisces rising, it can be true, especially because Jupiter is something to do with foreign places. And of course, Jupiter rules your 10th house. So you can even relocate your business to faraway places, something to do with overseas. Some Pisces rising sign will definitely see that. And in my opinion, especially those ones whose rising sign is somewhere between 9 to 15 degree, because Uranus is going to be also sextile in the energy. But I wouldn't be shocked if we did that with Pluto, especially if Pluto somehow relates to your 9th house. And Pluto is the modern ruler of your 9th house anyway. So those people might relocate. Yes, absolutely. Especially because of um, um, because of your income. So Saturn rules your 11th house. And for instance, one of the reasons why I want to relocate is because the taxing situation is getting impossible in my country. So, and that's very much 11th house related energy anyway. I mean, yeah, tax is ruled by 8th house, but your income is the 11th. And obviously, if they take away a portion of your income, then Pisces might get upset about it.
Mm-hmm.
And in that sense, Pisces is going to have to be more accepting of strange things as well. So it becoming more understanding, embracing, for instance, a new culture, um, could be also very important, especially if they wish to relocate.
Wonderful.
When it comes to relationship energies, they're going to have to definitely work on the everyday activity. I feel like it's going to be more about a reminder for them why we got together at the first place, because the 12th house is 6 sign away from the 7th. So it's going to be more about spending more time together, going on holiday with the partner, um, something to do with quality time when we basically switch off and not necessarily using social media and so forth. So basically a full focus on your personal relationship. I think that's going to be also very important for them.
Thank you. In one
Yes.
scenario, I have seen that there can be activation of finding out some secrets about the relationship.
Yeah, especially those, as I said, who have got the rising sign between 20 to 23 degree, they might have got some unpleasant secrets to unfold in their relationship, because it's going to be happening in their 1st and 7th house axis, which is all about my needs versus my partner's needs. And Neptune can be a defeating energy where I feel I'm not understood by my partner. So especially those that need to work on their everyday activities, on their communication cycles, because even though Uranus is going to be sextiling, but Uranus always wants to break down something, in a sense. Um, probably breaking down the comfort zone we tend to be living in, and opening up the horizon a little bit. And I believe some of the Pisces will have to do that in their relationships. It's probably about learning how not to judge my partner, or learning why my partner is doing certain things. 12th house is very much about spirituality, very much about a deeper understanding of the humankind,
Learning.
which also includes you and your partner as well. So,
Beautifully said.
pardon?
Beautifully said.
Oh, yeah. So it's not about superficial dealings, especially when you feel trapped, because you just make your life harder. So it is all about digging deep and seeing really what is behind the scene, what is really triggering, for instance, your, I don't know, argumentative nature, for instance, or the fact that you feel misunderstood, not listened to, and that Uranus can bring some type of communication or breakdown in the partnership easily, or even with work colleagues and bosses as well. Use this time to creativity. So it could really talk about that you should be writing down your dreams, you should be interpreting your dreams, you should be using a vision board, what you want to achieve. Because both Saturn and Jupiter are all about manifestation. They just want to achieve things in a different way. Saturn wants you to work hard for it, and Jupiter wants to hand it to you on a silver plate. But Saturn says, don't take it away from that silver plate, first work for it. Mm-hmm. So it is all about not necessarily a need to be in touch with your ego. It's more about seeing behind the mirror and why you are reflecting yourself the way you are reflecting, for instance, in your personal relationships.
Beautiful. And that's why this will be for those who are doing this internal work and observing themselves. And it is spiritual work to observe yourself. This can be a time where they have a jump in consciousness, in their vibration consciousness, and breaking
Absolutely
through. For example, after that, they'll be able to feel more joy, more happiness in life, to feel less fear and all of those things. So this is important work. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Victor. I loved your interpretation.
I thank you very much for having me, and I wish Pisces a very good year ahead.
Oh, and if you'd like to have a reading with Victor, you can check the link below. Plus, he's doing so many webinars. He's our best teacher. And currently there is a new webinar on planetary joys, if you want to join us. And that's about where planets feel happiest in the horoscope. Like, for example, Venus feels happiest in the 5th house, Jupiter in the 11th.
Or Saturn in the 12th house, what we are going to be experiencing.
Exactly. So that's exactly, it will do its best work there in the 12th house, won't it?
Yes, the reason why we call it planetary joy, because those planets can be also bringing us luck in those houses where they like being at.
Definitely.
Great. Well, thank you very much, everyone, for having me, and have a lovely Christmas and New Year and a fantastic 2021.
Thank you. Bye-bye.